my goats. Notes, my goats. Notes, my goats. Welcome back, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Notes My Goats podcast. I am Brandon.
And I'm Steve.
How's it going, bud?
I'm like, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Can't complain too much. Finally got snow, so that's good.
Well, maybe.
I mean, yeah, it depends on how long it actually stays, I guess.
Who really knows? It's
Right.
kind of one of those things. It's been a fickle year for snow.
Yeah. It's been a little crazy.
I am seeing that we're actually gonna get a little bit more for like it's gonna be cold for a little while longer. Like it's not gonna be in
Yeah.
the 50s anymore, which is I mean I'll take it, but either
Right.
way.
Yeah, absolutely.
This
Absolutely.
is before the Super Bowl, so we still don't know who won the Super Bowl yet. Um,
Correct.
this is gonna be in a couple weeks here, so
Yep.
about a week.
Yeah.
Ish from
Yeah.
today. Um, no, man, I think we'll still have snow by this point. It'll be cold as balls and it'll suck and we'll hate it.
Yeah.
And I'll
And
complain.
yeah.
Um, and you'll complain, and then we'll all be like, why can't it be 50 degrees again? And well,
And then
just
yeah.
because it can't and whatnot. So
Right.
I don't know. Doing all right though. Hopefully by now I've won a little bit more money with the football and
Yeah.
can put up that more of that winnings for the Super Bowl.
There you go.
I could win more money.
Yeah, there you go. At least we
And
know that
then
we won't see the Cowboys in the Super Bowl.
that is true. No Cowboys in the Super Bowl.
I'm hashtagging Brock Purdy all day long, man.
Unless they bought tickets.
That's true. The Cowboys, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Or they're like helping out with like Fox's coverage,
Right.
which they won't
Did you
use
see
Dak
that
Prescott
Did you see
because
that Matt Ryan is now working with Fox or CBS or one of the two?
I did not, but I'm kind of surprised. That dude's got the personality of a freaking board.
He looks like a freaking board,
He does look like a board.
just like like an 8x4 kind
Yeah,
of.
you're just hanging out there.
Yeah,
He just is he's like white bread.
he really is.
I mean, oh, he's
Yeah.
the aw shucks, and he is the less interesting Philip Rivers.
Yeah.
Because like Philip Rivers was a white dude who
Yeah.
liked to bang. I mean, I'm still pretty much still probably just like to bang.
Probably.
Where like Matt Ryan is like this like average just white dude, but there's something really special about him.
Yeah.
At least like Rivers was like, I've got 45 kids.
Right.
Pull out game is weak.
Right.
Matt Ryan's like, my put in game is weak.
Yeah.
I don't know.
My closing the game and winning games when it matters is
that
weak.
that poor guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two
Kirk
worst
Cousins
games in NFL history, and that guy's at the center of both.
with Matt Ryan. Oh man, yeah. And one of them was by Kirk fucking Cousins. I mean, come on, man. You let that guy beat you?
That guy. Oh man. But
Yeah. I don't know.
yeah.
But it is kind of what it is, man. Getting there. It's February. We're kind of slowly easing our way into the month of February.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice and slow here. I
It's
like
not
it.
it's not our first episode of February though. So
No,
that's been fun.
it is our third or no, it's our second episode in February.
Yeah.
We started the month off with a bang.
We started it off with something.
Literal and physical bang.
Yeah.
And then we
Boy.
kind of just we kind of just eased our way in this time. I kind of feel like we have to like wait for the smoke to settle, the dust to settle from Friday's episode,
And the pyrotechnics and all the
and the STD test to come back.
yeah.
So today we're gonna play it a little safe, I think.
I think so.
So today, Brandon, we are actually gonna chat about a band that's a favorite of mine that I've been kind of figuring out how I was going to introduce them to you for a little while here. We're going to talk about New York pop punk band Bayside and their album The Walking Wounded.
Yep.
So Bayside's an American punk band from the Bayside area of Queens, New York, of all things.
Okay.
Been active since 2000. The band since 2006 has been made up of Anthony Ranieri, who is the lead singer. Jack O'Shea is the guitar player. Nick Gabarian is the bass player, and Chris Guglielmo. I messed his last name up. He's the drummer, dude.
That's what you get for napping before we record.
That you're not wrong, and also picking a band of a bunch of New York guys with crazy
Yeah,
ass last names.
right. Who are
Either
probably associated with the New York Mafia.
yeah, you've got the crazy Italians, you got the Irish, and then you got just yeah
Yeah.
whoever. Gabarian I think is more like I can't remember the freaking what I'm thinking there, but like Slavic a little bit, but
There you go.
yeah, I don't know. Armenian, I think, is where he actually is where he's
Okay.
from.
Gotcha.
But so that's been the band lineup since 2006. Now, the reason
Mhm.
that it has been that way is because just prior to this, in 2005, Chris joined the band in 2006 after an auto accident involving the band's tour bus
Oh,
happened, which their original drummer, Josh Holohan, was killed in the accident, and bassist Nick Gabarian was severely injured as they were on tour in their van and they got in an accident. And the accident, led to their drummer dying and bass player almost dying.
oh my gosh.
Um, so when I say that it's their members since 2006, prior to that was, well, yeah, it was there's some references to that in some of their songs as well because it's a pretty deep moment. Um,
Yeah.
this band has 8 studio albums. They just have one coming out or just came out recently. 11 EPs, including 3 acoustic albums, which I really wanted to do one of their acoustic albums, but felt like I copped out with Rise Against. So I
Okay.
picked an actual album.
Okay.
And they had 15 singles. The guy chose the name Bayside on the way to a Newfound Glory show, which, spoiler alert, we're going to do a Newfound Glory album in April.
Yep.
It's coming up here, where they intended to give the band a CD of their music, kind of a demo, but they didn't have a name yet. So what they did is they were on their way to the show. They passed the Bayside subway station, and the name just kind of like worked. They didn't
Yeah.
intend for it to stick, but it just kind of happened. So that's how
Nice.
they got their name Bayside. They were just happened to be on their way to a Newfound Glory show of all things and said, we want to give them an album, but we don't know what the hell to call us.
Sure.
And hey, there's a Bayside. Hey, we're all from here. Cool. Let's do
Yeah.
it.
There you go.
So that's how they picked their name. Now, Brandon, how many Spotify listeners do you think that Bayside gets on a monthly basis?
We'll go with 3.5 million.
Not that many, unfortunately. They should
Okay.
get that many, but no, they're just over 500,000,
Okay.
548,741.
Okay.
So just over 500,000, between 500,000 and almost 600,000. But
Yeah.
they're one of those kind of in the medial things. And actually, I checked the number here. It was probably a couple weeks ago, early January. I just checked it today as of recording, and they are just over 600,000 now. So 629,000
Okay.
monthly listeners. Nothing to shake a stick at, but way to
No,
go
not at
them.
all. Right.
Now, The Walking Wounded was released February 6th, 2007. It was their 3rd studio album. It's 12 tracks, 46 minutes long. Right, that perfect length that we really do like here on the podcast.
Mhm.
And that just, under 12 tracks and under, and then that, 35 to 45 minutes long.
Yeah.
Almost all of their albums hit that, which probably is why it's one of my favorite bands.
Yeah.
The entire album, unlike almost all of the others, was written by Anthony Ranieri, the lead singer. He
Okay.
is kind of their sole songwriter. Every so often the band does kind of help and they do chip in, but
Okay.
he wrote this entire album. And to write this album took him just about 5 months.
Wow.
So he actually wrote the album while on tour. And it took him just over 5 months to write it. It did debut
Nice.
at number 75 in the Billboard 200. They re-released it in July of 2007 with a gold edition that included music videos and an acoustic set that was recorded at Looney Tune Studios or Looney Tune Records in Long Island. So
Okay.
if you find The Walking Wounded now on almost every music platform, you're going to find the gold edition,
Mhm.
which is this It's the cover of the album, but it's in just gold, and
Yeah.
that's one of the ones you'll find pretty much everywhere. Most places don't have the original,
Yeah.
but that's kind of what it is right now.
Yeah.
It did have two singles. Singles were Duality and Carry On were the two singles.
Hmm.
And before we get into the band a little bit here, had you heard of this band before?
Can't say that I have,
Didn't think
honestly.
so.
Yeah.
Didn't think so. They're kind of like another band we talked about a little while ago, The Dangerous Summer, where they're
Yeah.
a little bit niche, where they've gotten a little bit more play across the board. They've been around for a long time.
Hmm.
Um, but if you're in the pop and then like the punk kind of genre a lot, you kind of knew who
Hmm.
they were because they toured with Newfound Glory, they toured with all these other big punk bands. I saw them with
Yeah.
Bad Religion before. Um, then there's kind of like the understudies to all these major bands, and
Hmm.
just waiting to hit it big. So I'm not
Right.
surprised you hadn't heard of them because you weren't really super into that genre of music.
Right.
And they weren't one of the bigger ones, so it kind of worked out here.
Right.
Um, let's just get into it though, man. What was your
Yeah,
favorite
man.
track on the album?
Yeah. So I picked I and I as my
Okay,
favorite track.
cool.
Um, is this song absolutely the best thing since sliced bread? Not at all. But
Hmm.
what I really liked was how the song was written musically, chord progression throughout the chorus specifically, where the chords were very subtle between, but really helped share the story on the track. For those who haven't listened to this album or know what I'm talking about, most normal chord progressions will go from one chord to another just straight up,
Hmm.
but this one almost kind of had like a stepping stone kind of feel to it, that you hit one chord and then you hit another one just slightly and then it led you to the next major chord in the progression. It's really awesome to hear, I think. I also really like the live version that I heard
Hmm.
when I was listening on Amazon. So I and I was my favorite track. Steve, what about you, man?
I like it. My favorite track right now on this album, because this is again one of my favorite bands, so like it's these kind of change up here and there.
Yeah.
My favorite track on this one right now is The Walking Wounded.
Okay.
And I love the lyrics of it, but the best thing for me is that tuba like
Yep.
intro that leads into like Jack's epic guitar riff
Mm-hmm.
is just amazing. But dude, the solo on this track, like many of them, the guitar work on this album is very, very
It's
good.
good. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And seeing Jack do it live is even better. But
For sure.
like you don't when I tell you you're gonna get an album from a punk band from New York, the first thing you think of is not barbershop tuba.
No, not at all. Not at all.
And that like the lyrical cadence that kind of starts this thing off with the tuba gives you that barbershop-esque feel.
Mm-hmm.
And then lyrically, the track is super deep. It's about depression, medication, and suicidal thoughts. And, you know, it's kind of one of those things in your life has a way of kicking you in the ass for once in a while, or in the
Mm-hmm.
nuts, depending on how life is looking at you.
Yeah.
And I kind of found myself like really asking the question that's repeated in this track quite frequently recently in my life. And we've talked about how January for both of us has been kind of a shit show.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the question here is, when our time is up, will they be ashamed or proud? And I've been like battling that question in my own mind for
Mm-hmm.
probably the last 6 weeks or so, because it's something that I think about on a
Mm-hmm.
consistent basis. So I loved the track. I like kind of the thought process of where things are going,
Yeah.
and then music behind it just even lends it even more there. So it's kind of one of those things where I'm just like, yep, okay, let's go.
Yeah. I like it. Awesome. Well, Steve, it's time for our first game of the night, man.
It is
It is time for the Bayside Wayside Wing.
the Bayside Wayside. I like it. I like
Yeah.
it.
Let's play Wayne. Let's play Wayne. Word association and game.
All right, Steve. So I am doing the word association name game tonight.
Figured it
Uh,
was easier for you that way because I can do Shatner and I can get those really quickly if you did it.
yeah, for sure, for sure. So I've got two per
Hmm.
usual. Well, not per usual. We've changed it up a little bit this year,
Yeah.
here and there. So I've got two for you. Here's your first one.
Hmm.
The spinoff?
Spin-off. Is it Head on a Plate?
No, but that's pretty good. No.
The spin-off.
Yeah. Cultural reference.
A Rite of Passage?
Nope. We have one more guess.
Is it Popular Science?
It's not. The spinoff is The Walking Wounded.
Oh, son of a bitch. The
Yeah.
Walking Dead. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, now I get you.
Yeah. All right. This one.
Hmm.
Oh, this one's great. I gotta look at your face when I say this because instead of my notes. What Ye says in the mirror.
Is it I and I?
No. Hmm.
They're not horses, they're unicorns?
No. Well, I mean, no. No.
Oh,
What?
dear your holiness.
Yes. Dear Your Holiness. Absolutely.
It is dear
That
your
is what
holiness.
Ye says in the mirror, guys. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, Steve, that was the word association name game. Now it's time to get into our least
Love it.
favorite tracks. What was your least favorite? Do you have a least favorite?
Um, I don't. I
Okay.
did try to find one that I skip, and there's just not one that I really skip on this album very often. It's one that I just, if you when you probably mention yours, I'll more than likely agree with you because there's just it
Mhm.
happens from time to time.
Okay.
But I didn't really have one that I skip very often on here that's more pronounced than any other one, so I really didn't have one to pick.
Okay.
So what did you have, dude?
I didn't have one.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
listen. I will say that I had a least favorite thing about the album as a whole,
Hmm.
where I couldn't necessarily narrow it down to one specific thing
Okay.
because, yeah. So we'll go with that. My
Okay.
least favorite thing about this album as a whole is that it generally, sound wise, sounded the same. The tone and sounds
Yes.
are kind of all one level,
Hmm.
and there wasn't a ton of musical diversity. So
Hmm.
for me, that just kind of that blockade was always there for me. Like, oh man, maybe the next track will bring something different. Nope.
Hmm.
Maybe the next track will bring nope, and just so on and so forth. And it was just like I could never get past beyond that
Hmm.
to nitpick even more. So generally speaking, I wish that there was more musical diversity throughout the album.
Yeah, and I think I understand that. This one's a little weird for the band. I picked this album because it's one of their more um like accepted by like critics and whatnot. It's one of the
Okay.
higher rated albums and by
I
other
mean, they made
fans.
a gold edition thing,
Yeah,
so
and it came out, this is the first album to come out with this iteration of the band as well. So
sure,
um had I been more on my like in my feels and like wanted to like really open the heart up a little bit,
sure.
I probably would have went with their debut album.
Okay.
Um just because it's just deeper and there's a little bit more to it, but it's also not as clean.
Got it.
It's just not as done as well. But I like it more. But I was just like, I'm gonna go with this one.
Okay.
Um, but I can see what you're saying there. It is very it does blend into each other,
Yeah.
which is one of the reasons I probably like it as more situationally because I can listen to it and not really there's the changes from song to song to song. It's like one long, just
Exactly.
45 minutes of music.
Yeah, that's true. I mean that is definitely a plus is that you literally could start it and then it'll just go. And
Yeah.
yes, there's changes and you notice the changes, but relatively they're all the same. So yeah,
Yeah,
I can get that.
there's one of those things like with some of the other albums they've done where they've used like traffic noises and things like that that are just like really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, they've done more stuff. And like I said, I wanted to do their acoustic album, but the same way as their acoustic album is it's very one note because it's
Got it.
just not, it's not like Rise Against when we did the Ghost Note Symphony, when you had the symphony
Yeah.
behind it. It was just big and bold
Right.
and crazy.
Yeah.
So it's not like that, but yeah, still good. All right.
Got it.
So it is time now for our second game. We're going to do the Bayside Shatner's Poetry Slam.
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Shatner's Poetry Slam.
All right, dude, I picked two.
Okay.
And we'll see if you can get them.
We will see.
One. All right. Last call. Lights on. Pull your faces off the bar. Go to church because you need a good cleansing of body, mind, and soul. I never thought it possible that I fell in love with someone worse than me. And I love
Walking
you to
Wounded?
death. Nope. And I love you to death.
Dear Your Holiness?
Mm-mm. I don't think I like you anymore. The healing power of alcohol only works on scrapes and nicks. And not on girls in seedy bars who drown themselves in it.
Choice hops and bottled self-esteem?
100%.
Got it. Got it.
I love this band because the lyrics are just like, what? Oh,
Yeah.
shit. Like, it's
Yeah.
super deep.
It is super deep, and they don't like explicitly talk about the track titles, but you can, taking what they were saying, you can piece it together. So
You can figure it out. All right.
that was a good one.
Yeah, I figured that was there. I figured you'd like that one. And I'm like reading the lyrics going, I can do it exactly at Aiden and Anthony's cadence if I wanted to, because I know it.
Sure, right.
But I'm trying to play it up here. Okay, number 2. You're pulling out your teeth, and I'm the Novocaine you pump in your cheek. That's why I'm still around. You've got blood running down your chin, but you suffered peacefully. She was a termite, eating away at my roots. I was just a lost soul who needed a home. I was filling a void with you. And
Duality?
Nope. And I can't wait to tell you've seen what death and disgust
Head on a plate?
have done to me. And I spent 3 years wishing for 2 things that one day you'd break and I'd get to see.
Oh my gosh.
I'll finish this one with, let you know
Okay.
if you don't get her. How all the choices you've made would drive you insane. I wish we'd never met.
Oh man. All right. Let me get one more guess here.
One more guess.
I will they're not horses, they're unicorns?
Yes.
Really? Okay. All right.
Yes. Again, nothing about that song, nothing about the song lyrics or anything about being horses or unicorns.
Nope. But
this is seriously about a shitty relationship.
Right. But you can, what made me then come to that conclusion to say that one was there is a difference between a horse and a unicorn, and you can tell in the lyrics there's this and that, you know, so it's like,
no, I'm right there with you. There's just so much. This is like,
I'm surprised I got them, even if it took me a couple extra tries.
Hey, I figured I'd get you in there, man. I like it. I like that you put it out there, because these are not easy.
No.
To figure them out. So it's you have to kind of really, really, really dig into it to get in there. So
For sure.
let's get into our deep cuts. I'll
Let's
let you
do
go
it.
first. What was your deep cut?
All right. So my deep cut that I chose was Carry On.
Okay.
Now, I chose this song because the groove that the guitar has going on at the beginning of this track, super catchy, super fun to listen to. But if you listen to this one, there are some phenomenal mixing and producing on this track and have the music transfer. Like this is one of the ones where I was listening. So a lot of the times I kind of just listen to music with like one earbud in. But like there are some times when I'm doing these reviews where I'll sit down and actually plug my headphones into my computer and like listen to this album with my podcasting
Like studio
headphones.
headphones
So
on, yeah.
absolutely. And like there's a music transfer from one ear to the other that really makes this a listening experience.
Mhm.
So for me, that's why I chose Carry On.
I like it. Yeah, it's one of the ones it's really good. Mine was actually Popular Science.
That's another good one.
An intelligent track that rails against societal norms in the music industry with guitar riffs that absolutely shred. The track is about bands selling out to make it big instead of doing what they know is right.
Mm-hmm.
It is the last track on the original cut of the album, and it really ends the album perfectly. Um, this is a band that does what they love, not what I love,
Yeah,
not what a label loves, what they love.
sure.
Anthony writes music that means something to him,
Mm-hmm.
and it's refreshing to hear a band that comes out and says what we're all thinking. You know, you guys are out here selling the fuck out just to sell records. Like you have no connection with your music.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I agree with you that this album is a little bit one note, and there are some highlights and lowlights across, but it does sound the same across the board.
Yeah.
Lyrically, this kicks you in the face almost every track.
Yeah.
And you can feel the emotion behind this. This is the first album that came out after their drummer passed away.
Right.
So there is some intense emotion here.
Mhm.
And you can hear it. You can hear it in the lyrics. You can feel it and what's going on. And they don't hide from it. And this came out in the mid 2000s when you did have MCR out there who did this. You had a little Panic at the Disco, but you also had bands like Fall Out Boy. You had bands
Sure.
like Gym Class Heroes. You had bands that were just putting out albums
Yeah.
because it's what they wanted to hear.
Right.
And Bayside's just like, we don't care if we're super popular. We're just gonna do what we think is right and what we like to do.
Yeah.
And if you like it, you'll listen. If you don't like it, you won't. But we're gonna keep doing what we like and not cow to what you want us to do.
Right. Absolutely.
I appreciate that from a band that comes out, even a smaller band that hasn't made it big, that's not gonna sell their morals out to just sell records. So
Right. Yeah, exactly. For sure.
So wrapping this one up, man, this is a quick one
Yeah.
today. I kind of figured
Yeah.
it would be, but I like it. Gives us a bit of a break here for February. I wanted to give Brandon the acoustic album that preceded this one. It preceded this album so bad. Having done that with Rise Against, I didn't do that. But that being said, check out the acoustic albums. If you have listened to this album and you listen to Anthony Ranieri's voice and how he conveys the emotion of every single one of these tracks, the acoustic one is just so much better because it's just him and Jack on an acoustic guitar with a little bit of the bass acoustic in there.
Mm-hmm.
There's not much else to it. And it's raw. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
This album is really all over the place. There's a lot of deep, dark tracks. There's some light, uplifting things, and even a love song mixed in there. But Bayside can be characterized as two major things. You've got Anthony's lyrics and you've got Jack's guitar. That's this band.
Mm-hmm.
Both are in a class of their own and lend very well to each other, especially the live shows. This isn't my favorite album of theirs, but it is the easiest one to kind of get someone at least to dip their toe in the water.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite is either Sirens and Condolences or the self-titled album personally. But for this album, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
Like if I would the other ones, I probably would have higher, but a 7 out of 10 for me. What about you, man?
Yeah, so this is the first time I've ever listened to Bayside, whether it's a full album or a song in general. So the band isn't bad, and neither is this album. The band definitely fits into the vibe of what I like as far as music goes, and what I normally listen to. Um, however, after listening to this album a handful of times, I'm not overly surprised as to why I have never listened to them because of it goes back to the least favorite. Like there was just no musical diversity. Now maybe it's just this album, and I need to take more time to delve into more of the Bayside and everything else, the stuff prior, and all of that. It's not a bad album. These guys are great musicians and lyricists, and really know how to stay in that lane. Um, I just would have liked to have seen more musical diversity, but that's just a personal preference. But for me, I'm giving this one a 6.5 out of 10.
I like it. Not bad there.
Yeah.
So guys, that's a 13.5 out of 20. Not terrible. It's passing grade.
Yeah.
If you're interested and you kind of grew up in that late or mid like 2000s like pop punk scene and you aren't familiar with this band, check it out. You probably will like some of their stuff, if not all of their stuff.
For sure.
If you have a chance to see them live, do it. Especially if they're playing with a band like New Found Glory or somebody else, which they usually do. Go check them out live. They're amazing to see live. They're nice dudes. From New York.
Yeah.
Straight up full on New York guys. They're hilarious. I've met them a couple of times. But go check them out. I recommend them there. Now for us, if you guys are just not finding us today, hello. This is what we do twice a week, at least. Sometimes more, depending on the week. We record an album, talk about our least favorite, our favorite tracks. On Fridays, we generally bring out a guest. We will have one this coming Friday.
Yeah, we do. We're
who we
going
got coming up this
old.
Friday?
We're going old school, man. We found this guy on Facebook on a podcast group that we're a part of. Steve actually found this guy. We are actually talking with a guy by the name of Shane Rogers.
Oh, we are doing. Oh, yes. We're getting dirty on Friday.
We are getting dirty, and it's going to be a good episode, guys.
This is one of our first ones that we're going for a lot. This year is going to be categorized by a lot more 80s, 70s, and 80s rock. And this is probably on the Mount Rushmore of 80s rock.
If it's not, then I don't know what Mount Rushmore you're looking at.
It's covered in blow. That's not snow, guys.
Yeah,
but we are going full on 80s on Friday. We kind of did a little bit of 80s last Friday. I kind of like how we're doing things right now, so it's working out.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's gonna be a fun one, guys. I can't wait for that to come up. But then, starting, and we've got something fun coming out on Saturday this week. We actually are doing 3 podcasts this week.
We are doing 3 podcasts this week. It's crazy, but
Super Bowl's on Sunday, so we got this.
Super Bowl. So we're doing our version of something. We'll get into that on Saturday. We're not going to really get into it now, Steve.
Now we'll drop a hint for it on Friday. We'll drop a hint for it on Friday, but then Saturday it's going to drop out. We have podcast dropping on Saturday this week.
We do.
But if you guys want to be on the podcast and you are interested, shoot us a message. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram, the Notes by Goats podcast. Look for Nate Chomp on the record. You'll find us there. We do post daily, at least 2 to 3 times a day with different podcasts we've done, different things that's going on, and then whatever interesting memes that Brandon and I find that are not as inappropriate as ones we send each other.
Absolutely.
We don't send all of the inappropriate ones to you guys. We should probably get like a private group for that.
Yeah,
like
a
vet
Discord.
Like a Discord. Because there's some things.
Discord.
There's some things I could share on the Facebook, but I would end up in the Darius Star Wars Facebook jail. He's actually it's sponsored by Darius now.
Yeah.
So I would end up in his version of the jail, and it would not be good for us or me.
For sure.
So I don't share those because I like to stay out of the Darius Towers jail.
Right.
I just want to be just visiting.
Right. Absolutely.
So that being said, maybe we do some Discord this year. That'd be fun.
That would be something.
So find us on Instagram, Facebook primarily. We are on Twitter, but as we've said many a times, fuck Elon Musk. We're just not doing it. Plus, neither of us are good at tweeting. We just don't.
We just don't do it.
I need a lot more characters to talk in.
Right.
And Brandon's he's a man of few words, and that's still too many for him.
It's true.
So we don't really go on Twitter very often, but we are there. Find us on TikTok, the No Smoke Ghost Podcast. Also, you can find us personally on TikTok at Steve Madole and at Brandon.Alberta. We do fun stuff on there as well. If you're on TikTok, give us a follow so we can actually do this thing live on TikTok. We are getting closer and closer to that every day.
Yeah.
And we just need your help. If you have found us on your favorite music platform, give us a rating and review. If you're on Apple Podcasts, the reviews help us move up in the charts. So do the ratings. So anything you can do to help us bump up there so we can become #1 in Kazakhstan, we'd be happy to hear you there. So
yeah.
and we're getting close to #1 in Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
But other than that, Brian, you got anything else for the kids?
I don't this time, man. You've got it all covered.
I covered the whole basis there,
you
man.
covered the whole thing. So guys,
all Borat and everything.
Absolutely. This is my wife.
This is my neighbor. He real pain in my ass.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. On that note, guys, this has been Bayside, the Walking Wounded. We will see you on Friday. I am Brandon.
And I'm Steve.
See you guys.
See you guys.
Notes,